This is George Dionne of Metal Express Radio, and I'm speaking with Gary Moat, the drummer of Heavy Pettin and the singer of Burnt Out Wreck. How you doing today, Gary?
Great, thanks. Yeah, great to talk to you.
Awesome. Same question I ask everybody in the beginning is, if I knew absolutely nothing about Heavy Pettin, how would you describe the band's music to me?
An energetic 80s, early 80s rock band. Yeah. Not too thrashy, not too, just melodic rock band.
Absolutely. On November 27th, Heavy Pettin is releasing a best-of album. What went into selecting the songs that went on this compilation?
Well, the album's being released through Burnt Out Records, which is my wife and manager Claire's business.
Yep.
And that's what the album's coming out on. She's recently released the first 3 Heavy Pettin releases and re-released them. The Best Of album was sort of just created through Universal Records and Burnt Out Records, so they asked if we would be interested in doing it, and she said yeah, and got me to pick the songs, so I'm responsible for picking those songs, but I reckon I've got the best of them anyway, so I think I got it right.
I think so. Did you have to touch up anything? Did you remaster anything, or are these the original recordings?
No, that's the original recordings for sure. Yeah, we don't do anything like that, not at all.
You recently got back all of your recordings from the original record company or whoever held your recordings. Was that a tough process?
Yeah, way back in 1989, when the band split up, the albums were just out there and got snatched up by other independent companies at the time, and they released them, basically made a lot of money off of them over the years, and, none of the money was paid back, so it's just crazy how the business worked in those days and still does probably, So it took quite a while and a lot of fighting and thinking, I suppose. And she managed to get them back, so well done, Claire,
So now that you have your material back, is there kind of some unreleased material or something like that you have in your possession?
No. I think that it's, there's some demos and stuff that was never ever taken beyond just on demo, so, but I think we've basically covered it all, with the other albums that came out,
Yeah.
And so any new material will simply be from Gordon and Hemi, who are out flying the Heavy Pettin flag these days, and so that'll be any new material that you will ever hear, I suppose.
So what led to Heavy Pettin getting an album deal back in the early 80s?
Sheer determination, bloody determination, we will do it, 5 guys from Glasgow just wanting to get out there and play some rock and roll, and we just set off, done some demos, pestered everybody, every record company, managed to get on to BBC Radio 1 and onto the rock show, done a session on the rock show, and all the record companies listened to that because, we only had phones, didn't we? We didn't have mobile phones, there was no internet, it was just phone them up and say, look, come on, listen to this on Friday night and see what you think. And after that, we had them all banging the door down to sign us up. So it went well.
What do you remember about recording your major label debut, Letting Loose?
Very little. It was a very drunken time at the time,
Right.
Yeah, a month in London, a month in Munich, and with Brian, May, and Mac, so it was a crazy experience. We thoroughly enjoyed it, and we learned a lot from it. But, we were only 22, 23, and we were as crazy as could be back in the day, Not that anything's changed there.
So Brian May was a co-producer. Did he have a lot of influence on that album?
Well, we had all the songs written, and, he just basically just... Well,
collected a paycheck and put his name on it?
Yeah. Sat in his seat and swiveled about a bit, the Queen's producer, Mac, he engineered it all, and like you say, yeah, co-produced it, and it was just great, Brian was just marvellous, and taught us a lot about the backing vocals and stuff, and yeah, I mean... We had all the arrangements, and stuff before we went into the studio, really. So it was just a matter of just getting us to calm down, and because it's a big new world for us to be in London recording your first album, especially with him sat looking at you through the control booth window,
So it must have been a little easier to record "Rock Ain't Dead" in 1985.
Yeah, 1985, yeah. Rock Ain't Dead was, we'd written a whole bundle of songs, and, everybody wanted it to sound like, with a big Def Leppard kind of sounding drums, because everybody in the world wanted their new signings or whatever to sound like Def Leppard because of the commercial success of that band. And so... yeah, that was involving a Fairlight drum machine, ancient piece of technology these days, but it was really, really difficult, that, and so, yeah, but I mean, again, yeah, we went into the studio with Mark Darnley, who had, at the same time, was producing AC/DC with their, Fly in the Wall album, and so he was flipping back and forward from us to them kind of thing at the time. So, so it was just really, really great. But we were far more in control of it ourselves then, because we sort of knew what we wanted to do, and Matt was just a great guy and got along with us just smashing. So we all fitted in,
So on your third album, Big Bang, was the label sort of kind of getting more involved in your sound and what you wanted to be, or was that a musical change that you guys wanted to make?
No, it wasn't. The band were kind of split on it. Yeah, I mean, all the songs are great, and I wouldn't, I love them all, but and the introduction of too many keyboards obviously just took the band into another world. It wasn't a 5-piece twin guitar band anymore, and straight ahead rocking out, So, and yeah, that's all down to the record company wanting to recoup some of the money that they've gave out and hoping that it was all going to happen, and it was all headed towards the States, really, and it never made it because it never got released over there. And if it had done me a couple of videos, then I'm sure a couple of the songs on there would have been enormous, because it's a cracking sounding album, but it's just, that's the way it went at the time,
Right. So why did the band officially break up?
When or why?
No, why?
Oh, why? I think that at the time, we'd been put onto the, as I say, having to do that album, the pressure to do that album was just immense.
Yeah.
It was, between the whole band, I mean, all sorts of things was going on in my personal lives, and it was really hard to concentrate on what we were doing, and we had that financial worry that if it doesn't do well, we might end up, looking for another company or something, which obviously came to pass anyway. That's what did happen. But, they talked us into getting involved in the Eurovision Song Contest because, quite simply, if it sold 100,000 singles, if we'd have got on there, then across Europe, which is many millions of people watching it, they were just trying to put a bet on and see if they could make some money back,
Yeah.
So regardless of whether we get slated for the rest of our life for going on the show,
Yeah, they just wanted the money, right?
Yeah, So, and then after that, obviously, we thought, well, we'll just go. We went up to Glasgow, rehearsed a bit, I lived down in England at the time, so that was that. And myself and Claire, we just had our first son. And so it was I was torn between the two, really, and it was that was very difficult, so that's sort of ended up with Amy leaving and going to America and me coming back to England and the band just calling it a day.
What did you do? Did you do anything musically after the band broke up before you started your current band?
Yeah, what happened there was Gordon Bonner went back to Glasgow and he got a job down in Milton Keynes where I lived, and he got a job in a recording studio as a sound engineer. So he came down and himself and myself, we started writing songs because we were always writing songs anyway. So we started writing songs with a view to a different project, which we called Mother's Ruin. And so we done that. He was doing the studio job and stuff, and then obviously I was having a family, starting a family, and and everybody had their own jobs and stuff in between that. And we put Mother's Ruin together. We played for a couple of years, just doing local shows and stuff, and thrashed about with some tunes. But we very nearly did sign in, I think it was 1991.
Yeah.
We nearly signed a record deal, and I can't really remember what happened there, but it didn't come to pass anyway. So it was a shame, but But then, so we just done that, and then after that, a couple of years, it just became families and day jobs, and that was it then.
You've come out from behind the kit, and now you're the front man for Burnt Out Wreck. How did that band come together?
Yeah, well, it's just the same time, just doing these songs, It was just a case of, I thought I was going to be the drummer in it, even though myself and Gordon are writing the tunes for it. And then we realised that, if I sing that way, then you're not going to find anybody else that can sing that way and try and get it in their heads what's in my head. So the decision was made to just let me become the vocalist, and that was that, I would never have became a vocalist if Heavy Pettin was still together. I would still be playing drums in Heavy Pettin, it would never have happened. So, but I mean, I'm glad it did. But that carried on, and then, so it got to 2016, and I decided to go into the studio and record 6 of the songs from Mother's Ruin and look for a new name. So I found that nobody was called Burnt Out Wreck and decided to change it to that, and I'm very happy that I did. Wrote some more tunes, went in and recorded it at the end of 2016, released it in 2017, and here we are talking to you today.
So it's a different sound than Heavy Petting. I mean, you sound a little more like AC/DC meets Nazareth. Is that the sound you're going for, or is that just how you sing?
It's how I sing, obviously growing up and listening to AC/DC as I did, and as a teenager, and Bon Scott was just incredible, and hard to beat, I would say, so yeah, I just sound like that, and I just prefer straight ahead blues rock music, really, I mean, I also like Judas Priest and Journey and all sorts of things. It's not just that, but when it comes to playing, that's the kind of stuff that just everybody gets into it. Your foot's tapping, the head's nodding, and smiles on the faces all the way through it. So it's great.
Absolutely. Burnt Out Wreck's last album, This Is Hell, was released last year. Obviously, touring's on hold for lockdowns, but are you guys working on new music?
Well, I write the songs, unfortunately.
Okay.
The rest of the guys are all doing whatever they're doing, whatever their families at the moment. And, I don't know, I've got 9 or 10 ideas down. I've been doing it for the past month now, just knocking stuff around, trying to sort it out. And, there's definitely going to be a third album coming out, probably sometime next year, obviously now.
Yep.
And hopefully we'll be able to get everybody together or individually and get into a studio and knock it out, because we really did enjoy recording This Is Hell,
Are you going to be releasing any other bands through that imprint?
I don't think so. Never say never, as they say,
Of course.
It just depends. It's all happened from hard work on her side of things, her label as well. So I really don't know. I mean, there are people contacting her every day, wanting her to manage them. There are people wanting her to put stuff out on the label, but it's, as you can imagine, she's on that phone 24 hours a day.
Sure.
Trying to just do Burnt Out Wreck and the Heavy Pettin stuff, so the old Heavy Pettin stuff,
Yeah. Burnt Out Wreck actually collaborated with a brewery, Limestone Brewing, for your own beer.
Yeah, it's a pale ale, 7%, and I mean, again, right at the start, it only took the first album to come out, Swallow, and someone was on the phone to Claire saying, look, I love the name, I love the album cover, I think it would be great on a bottle of whiskey. So we ended up with whiskey back in 2017. So that's out there. You just have to click Burnt Out Wreck whiskey on the internet and you'll find it, and then just recently, Limestone Brewery, the exact same thing, but with a This Is Hell cover, and they just said it's just, I love the name, love the music, love the album cover. Do you think that we could put it on a bottle of beer? And obviously he said, yeah, of course you can. And then obviously last night we put out the same thing happened to us with guac and cider, and we've got a cider too, 6% cider. And
nice.
It's absolutely lovely, pear and apple cider. Yeah, it's not rock and roll, but I'll tell you.
People love it.
It's great stuff. Well, yeah, I mean, the ale's been sent out. The companies can't believe it, because the ale's been sent out to America, Canada, all around the world. People are buying it, because you just click on the button and it'll be there.
The lockdowns help with that. Places you normally couldn't get alcohol mailed to, you can now.
That's right. That's right. What a world.
I was going to ask you, it's funny that you mentioned the whiskey. I was going to be like, what's a Scotsman doing with a beer and not a whiskey?
Yeah, exactly.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, there's actually a Heavy Pettin touring band that doesn't include you.
The Heavy Pettin, Amy and Gordon put a band out 2017. I was going to be in it. They've been talking about it for a couple of years, and it never really took off. And then I went in to record the Swallow, my first album for Burnt Out Wreck, and as I was doing that, they decided that they were going to do it and put the band back together. So, and I just said, well, yeah, if it doesn't clash, then I could do it. But in the end of the day, it became obvious that my album seemed to go off with a bang, The internet was abuzz with Burnt Out Wreck, and all of a sudden, I just thought, well, I could just see down the line there'd be playing gigs, you know, at festivals or something, and they'd be playing and I'd be playing, and I just didn't fancy getting up and singing a set and playing the drums for a set, you know, kind of thing in the one day, you know. So so I just said, I'll stick with the Burnt Out Wreck, thanks, and you just crack on with it, you know. So that's what they done, and yeah, great. You know.
So everything's friendly about it, though.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not bothered with that, you know. You know, Brian and Punky was in it when it first started, and then he played the first show with him, and then all of a sudden he wasn't in it. But I haven't spoken to him, so I don't know why. Nobody's told me, and I've been too busy to be bothered to find out, to be honest, you know. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, everything's okay. It's you know, we don't contact each other, we don't talk to each other, but you know.
Thanks for talking to Metal Express Radio today, Gary.
No problem. Thanks very much. And everybody out there, take care. And if we do get out to play, please come and see us. We'll love it. You'll love it. It'll be a great night out.